Brandon Moreno recaptured the UFC flyweight title. Doctor would not allow Deiveson Figueiredo to come out for round 4 due to an eye injury that was caused by a legal punch in round 3. Therefore, the fight ended via TKO. After 4 fights between the two combatants, we finally have closure, with Moreno winning the tetralogy 2-1-1. Were you satisfied with this final chapter? Do you expect a long reign from the Mexican champion? And by the way, Figgy now moves to Bantamweight. Can he be a contender there? I know I threw a lot at you guys again. Sorry. Nolan, it's on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the business is settled at this point. Who knows? Maybe the future will hold something different. Things will play out. Figueiredo will move back down, get on a streak. You never know what's going to happen in MMA. But I think for now, we're at a point where that performance on Saturday was decisive, right? And when you have a decisive tiebreaker, there's no need to run it back again. I understand that sometimes there's that feeling as a fan that you got robbed if somebody gets, if there's a doctor stoppage or whatever, just robbed from the experience of seeing 2 more rounds. But hey, I mean, people need to take into account that that's a punch that landed. That's something that Brandon Moreno did, kind of topping off a very solid, dominant performance. And I think this is a good place to end it. It seems like everyone involved is kind of at peace with it, right? I mean, Figueiredo's done with flyweight. This put a stamp on it for him. He's ready to begin, new ventures at 135, which I think is a smart move. I mean, reinvent yourself, get yourself a little bit more hype, a little bit more buzz. I mean, people won't necessarily, I think there's opportunities, right, when a guy makes a switch at a point like this in his career. So, good for him. I'm not sure how far he'll go, but I'm sure he'll be able to be competitive with the top 50, top 10 guys at 135. I think size might be a little bit of an issue, but he's a guy that's had some weight cut issues before. So, he's going to be able to find that bulk for sure. And then as far as Brandon Moreno goes, it's tough to tell right now how long his reign will last, but I feel pretty good about it. Like if we rolled around at the end of this year and he was still champion, I definitely would not be surprised. I think you got Alexander Pantoja waiting in the wings, kind of the hater of the flyweight division, kind of similar to where Pereira was with Izzy, right? Like he's just got Brandon Moreno's number, but those fights were so long ago. I think Brandon's gotten so much better that I don't necessarily view, this is not a knock on Pantoja. He's a great fighter. I'm not as necessarily concerned for Brandon maybe as I was for Izzy, which that was still an upset. So I think Brandon's got to feel pretty comfortable. And I think if you have to ask me my prediction, I think he'll still be champ at the end of the year.
All right. And can Figgy do well at Bantamweight, Nolan?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he can certainly be competitive with those guys. We've seen guys have success moving between those weight classes. I think it's not some of the weight classes, right? You move from 185 to 205 or 170 to 185, like you're giving up a lot of weight. But for a guy like him who's had weight cut issues, who is elite at 125, and this is not just some failed out contender. Like this guy was the champ. So I think he'll do well. How well will he become a champ there? Yeah. That one you'd have to twist my arm a little bit more to have those words come out of my mouth.
Yeah, I've heard he weighs in more on fight night than some bantamweights do on fight night. So I think he can do well. Possible title contender. I don't know about champ though. That's a rough road. All right, Goes.
Yeah, that's where I put him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Goes. It's on you, man.
Of course you don't want that fight to end the way it did. That part kind of sucked, especially with so much on the line. I was hoping to see a little bit more back and forth in that fight, and that fight was kind of one-sided. And I feel like if Joe Lunchpail showed up and didn't see the previous fights, he would probably be wondering, why are these guys fighting right now? They don't seem like they're in the same class, which is weird because Figueiredo, he won the first battle, which was the battle with the scale. He looked amazing going into the fight, but he just kind of fell a little flat in the fight, and that didn't really make too much sense to me. Brandon Moreno had a good strategy, and he's been able to do that. He's getting better and better every fight, and I like that about him. There are improvements in his game. So I do think he can reign for quite a long time, but as Nolan said, that first test is going to be Pantoja. I agree. I think Brandon has grown more, but we never know mentally what something like that can do to you, right? If he gets over that hump, then yeah, I think he holds onto that belt for quite a while. But yeah, I think the kid's over the hump, dude. I really think he could hold onto that belt for a while. Figueiredo moving up, I think he could be decent. I think he can give some people problems. But when he gets to the creme de la creme, I think that's where the problem is going to be. But that's kind of for everyone, right? That's how cutthroat that division is. So I think he can make a splash, but I don't know that he can reign with a title or anything like that.
The comments are pouring in, and if I see a good one, I will try and chime in or feed it to the fellas. Questions, comments, whatever. Here's one from Skyvies and El Daddy. He says, "Assassin baby, si se puede way." Another one from Telvin Kipapa, Figgy versus Cruz. Book it. Hey, that's not bad. All right, but Mike Bond, it's on you. Question number 2.
Yeah, obviously, I guess going to this fight first, I am satisfied with the way this ended. I know, a doctor's stoppage isn't necessarily the cleanest way to win or what we all want, but given how the fight was going, I think it was pretty clear Brandon Moreno was en route to victory there. If he was down, 2-0 or 3-0 on the scorecards or something that happened like this because he landed, a punch that just blew up his eye, I think we'd be sitting here having a bit of a different slant on this conversation. But as of right now, given the fact that Moreno was up 2-1 on all 3 scorecards, I believe, and it looks like if it was going to go to a 4th and a 5th round, he was going to have a pretty firm grip on that fight. I have no issues with the way this all ended. I think we have seen enough of these two fighting. Let's move on to something fresh, something new. And it's not like this is going to be something that's lingering. Figueiredo being willing to move up to 135, that kind of closes the door on this, in my opinion. As far as his ability to hang there, I do have some concerns about what Figueiredo can do at 135 pounds, mainly just because of his age. 35 years old, he's automatically one of the older fighters in this weight class. There's maybe like 1 or 2 guys in the top 15 rankings who are older than him at this point. And I just worry, is it maybe a little bit too little, too late when it comes to this move? Of course, you would imagine on paper his speed and durability and cardio would be better at 135, but given all these wars he's just been through, everything he's already done to his body, I think there's a lot of concern there. There's maybe a couple fights he can win, but I'm not really picking him to beat a whole lot of guys through the top 15 of that division right now, but he certainly brings some name value up, and let's see what we can do there. And as far as Moreno's future, I feel right now these days it's hard to predict anyone who's going to be a long-term champion just because the parity of the sport.